Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everybody. My name is Dr. FARAH SALWANI binti ISMAIL, and I am from the Faculty of Sharia and Law, USIM. So in this opportunity, I would like to share with all of you a bit about a topic that I find very fascinating, and it is about xenotransplantation. So before we go further into the topic, I would just like to give all of you a little background for you to understand why did this process of xenotransplantation come into the picture. So, and I'm sure that all of you know that we do have a procedure that we call as organ transplantation. So in a normal procedure of organ transplantation, what happens is that we obtain organs from organ donors, and therefore when we get these organs, we are then able to supply and give them to patients who are in need of these organs. It could be the heart, it could be the kidneys, the pancreas, the liver. So all these are important organs that are very important and needed by patients, especially when they're having end-stage failure of their own organs, and therefore they would then need to have these organs which are donated from organ donors. So it is always a process where we obtain organs from humans and we give it back to another human patient, so that they can get better. And this process is very special because it is able to save the life of hundreds and thousands of many patients that we have. Okay, so that's why this process of organ transplantation is also known as a miracle in the medical modern world. So even though it sounds very nice, but we do have this serious problem, which is a big challenge to those, especially those in the medical discipline. So it is actually very hard to get enough supply to help patients who are in need of organs. So this is what we call as organ shortage. So in an organ shortage situation that we're having now, we have it in Malaysia, and we also have it in many countries in the world, because this is actually a global issue. So what happened is that we do have a very high demand for organs. We have thousands of patients waiting for organs. However, the case is we are not able to get the supply of these organs to give and to help these patients. So this is what we call as organ shortage. We do not have enough organ supply. So you might be wondering, what could then be the reason why we're having this problem? So I could share with you among other reasons that we have. Number one is, even though we have many people coming forward, volunteering themselves to become organ donors, but along the way, what happened is that some of them retract their pledge. So when they retract their pledge and they share their intention that they no longer are willing to donate their organs, therefore we are not able to get their organs after they die. Yeah, so that is one reason. The second reason is we do not have support from family members to become organ donors. So in our country, organ transplantation is actually a very challenging matter. We might have people who actually have the intention to become organ donors, but normally they do not end up pledging as organ donors because there is no family support. That's the second reason. And the third reason is whenever there is issues where the family members, especially the close ones, are not able to give their consent for the potential organ donor to proceed, therefore they do have the right to stop us from obtaining or getting the organs from the organ donors. And unfortunately, in section 2 clause 2b of the Human Tissues Act 1974 that we have, it does allow, or it does give room for the family members to reject any act of organ donation from taking place, especially when they are not consenting to. All right, so that will then be among the reasons why we have this organ shortage, particularly in Malaysia. So because we have this problem of organ shortage and we are not able to get the supply of organs to help the many patients that we have, so people have starting to think of, can we just find another source of organ to help these patients? So that's why they came with the idea of xenotransplantation. So xenotransplantation is also a medical procedure, but the difference is that we get organs from animals. So it is a process where we obtain organs from animals and we put it into human patients that we have. So rather than putting organs taken from humans as in an ordinary organ transplantation procedure, in xenotransplantation what we do is we are going to take the organs from animals. And these organs from the animals will then be inserted or put into patients so that they can also have an organ in order to give cure to their diseases. Okay, so this process involves transplantation of cells, tissues, and even organs, which are originated from animals. So this is actually not something new because based on resources, plenty of experiments have been conducted in order to ascertain whether it is possible to obtain organs from animals. So since the past 300 years, there are plenty of experiments done, researches done, for example, using the skin of frogs, or perhaps taking the kidneys from chimpanzee, or there's a new one where they tried to take the heart from a baboon and also pigs. So some might feel surprised when I mention the word pigs, but it seems like based on the researches done, it seems like the pigs are actually very useful, especially when we are intending to take organs from them. Okay, so pigs are considered as suitable because number one, they are very easy to breed. So because they're easy to breed, therefore we are able to obtain a large number of pigs so that we can take organs from them. That's number one. The second one is that its organs, they do have a lot in common compared to human organs, especially in the sizing of the heart, the kidney, the lungs, the liver, the skin, and also the pancreas. So because of this similarity, so that's why researchers are saying that the best alternative for human organs is actually organs which are obtained from pigs. Another issue that comes up is, can Muslims use organs from these haram animals? For example, the pigs that I mentioned to you just now. So fortunately, we do have a fatwa that was released from the Jabatan Mufti Pulau Pinang back in 2022. And according to this fatwa, it says that yes, Muslims are allowed to resort and use these organs even from haram animals as long as it is in a situation where it becomes darurah. So what do we mean by darurah? And it later explains that especially in a situation where it is life-threatening, meaning that if we do not provide the organs from this haram animal, therefore it can cause the life of the patient to be lost. So that's one reason, life-threatening. And the second one is, if there is no other treatment or alternative which is available, so the last resort would then only be to take these organs from these haram animals. And the last one is that even when we compare between organs taken from halal animal and haram animal, it seems like only the organs from these haram animals could be the best possible match to give organs to the patient, even though the patient is a Muslim. So only if we fulfill all this and it is considered as a darurah, then only it would then be permissible for a Muslim to also take and use organs from a haram animal. So from the looking this issue from the legal perspective, when we looked into the Human Tissues Act 1974 that I mentioned earlier, it seems like this act does not have anything that they did mention about xenotransplantation, because I guess back in 1974 there wasn't any action taken yet, and they haven't even decided or they didn't even knew that there could be a possibility of having xenotransplantation. So the Human Tissues Act 1974, even though it is an act which regulates organ transplantation, but it is only dealing with organs taken from humans, and these humans are also considered as human cadavers only. Okay, so it does not mention anything about taking organs from animals. The second one is we looked into the National Organ, Tissue and Cell Transplantation Policy 2007, and what we found is that this guideline only focuses on organ donation which involves taking organs from living donors. So there is no clause that mentions that organs could be harvested from any other sources. So indirectly, again, this policy does not mention anything about xenotransplantation. And then last one is guidelines on organ donation under the Malaysian Medical Council (MMC). So in this guideline, it is also totally silent on xenotransplantation. So there is another act that we also had a look, and this is what we call as the Biosafety Act 2007. So this act actually, the main aim of this act is actually to regulate activities related to living modified organisms and their products in order to protect the human, the plants, the animal health, the environment, and even the biological diversity. So in this act, it actually refers to living modified organism. However, there is nothing mentioned about xenotransplantation. However, as we do know that in xenotransplantation, it does involve genetically modified organism. So perhaps this act could be possibly extended to include xenotransplantation as well. Okay. However, this act, just for your information, it is a very important act because it does ensure the sustainability and development of modern biotechnology in Malaysia. So there are certain rules which govern and certain criteria that must be fulfilled, especially when you are dealing with living modified organisms. But take note that it does not mention the word xenotransplant per se. When we talk about xenotransplantation, another question that normally people ask is, what are actually the benefits that we have when we apply xenotransplantation? So of course, the main aim is if we are able to introduce xenotransplantation, the most important thing is we are able to fulfill the need of humans for organs. And as we had discussed earlier, we have this serious problem of organ shortage. Therefore, rather than only focusing to take organs from humans, with xenotransplantation, we're able to make another resource where we can also make it as an option where organs can also be taken from animals. That's number one. The second one is we will also be able to stop illegal trafficking of human organs. This is a very serious crime where people start to traffic human organs. They sell, they buy, kidnap people, they sell and buy organs. So by having the option of using organs from animals, which are plenty, therefore hopefully we're able to stop or eradicate the issue of illegal trafficking of human organs. And the last one is we can also stop activities where people start to harvest human organs, especially they take organs from living human donors or they take organs from prisoners. Yeah? So by having this, hopefully we'll be able to stop all these problems and issues that we face nowadays. Right? So the last thing is, if we are to actually declare xenotransplantation as our solution, and even if one day we are going to resort to xenotransplantation as a source of um, organs that we need, but there are things that we must still remember. Number one, even though we are taking organs from animals, we must remember that their welfare of these animals must also put as a priority, meaning that we need to still take care and provide good welfare of these animals. That's number one. And the second one is because xenotransplantation involves taking organs from non-halal animals. Therefore, it is very important to have a clear ruling at the national level which clearly declares the status of xenotransplantation and also lays down the guidelines that the Muslims especially can follow so that they know whether this is something which is acceptable or not acceptable. And the last one is not only that from the religious perspective it must be clear, but we also need to have a certain law or perhaps an act that could clearly deal and regulate matters relating to xenotransplantation so that the matter will be conducted in a proper manner and there will not be certain issues or problems later. So with that, I would like to thank everybody for listening to my presentation. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.